All right, strap in everyone, because today we are diving headfirst into one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in America,
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
the Zodiac Killer.
Classic.
Yeah, you sent over a whole mountain of sources on this case.
Just a little light reading.
And I gotta admit, I'm already getting creeped out just looking at it all.
Well, yeah, you've got a shadowy figure terrorizing Northern California in the late 60s and early 70s, taunting letters, coded messages, brutal murders.
Yeah.
It's the stuff of nightmares, but it's also a puzzle people have been trying to solve for over 50 years.
More than 50 years, it's crazy.
Yeah, right?
So where do we even begin with something this complex?
I think the first thing to grasp is what makes the Zodiac different from your average serial killer.
Okay.
He wasn't just about the violence. He was obsessed with creating a spectacle, this terrifying performance.
A performance.
Yeah, like it was all playing out on a public stage. And that's where the ciphers and the letters come in.
Right.
They weren't just messages. They were tools, psychological manipulation,
Yeah.
designed to sow fear and confusion, keep everyone guessing.
So before we get too lost in all the codes and the mind games,
Sure.
let's just ground ourselves in the facts for a second.
Okay.
Our sources lay out a timeline that starts in December of '68 with the murders of Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday,
Young high school sweethearts.
shot to death near Vallejo, California.
Awful.
Tragic, just a truly tragic scene.
It was.
But at the time, it seemed like an isolated incident,
Exactly.
just a random act of violence.
Right. But then just 6 months later, July 4th, 1969, the Zodiac strikes again,
Oh, no.
attacking Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau at a lover's lane not far from that first crime scene.
Jeez.
This time, though, Mageau survives.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and he provides a description of the attacker.
So they have something to go on.
A little something. They describe him as a stocky man, between 26 and 30 years old.
Okay, so they have an age range and a general build.
Right, and here's where things take a really sinister turn. Less than a month after this attack, 3 California newspapers received these nearly identical handwritten letters,
Whoa.
each one containing details about the murders that only the killer could have known.
Oh, so it's definitely him.
Oh, yeah. And to make things even more mysterious, each letter includes a portion of a coded message, what became known as the 408 cipher,
The 408? What's that?
named for its 408 characters.
Oh, I see.
It's like he was daring the police, the public, everyone to crack the code, unmask him.
Like a big game of cat and mouse with incredibly high stakes.
Exactly. And someone did crack it, a couple from Salinas.
They did?
They managed to decipher the 408.
I can't even imagine. I would be terrified.
I know. What they found was truly bone-chilling.
What was it?
The message, just 5 words. I like killing people because it's so much fun.
Chills. Literal chills.
I know, right?
I mean, just reading that.
This cipher and the message it contains, it's crucial for understanding the Zodiac psyche,
So what does it tell us?
It reveals a very disturbing lack of empathy, a fascination with death, with suffering, that goes beyond any rational motive.
Like, what could possibly be the reason?
Yeah, it's a question that haunts the whole case. Was it a desperate cry for attention? Some twisted form of amusement? Was he trying to project this image of power and control?
Like playing God.
Yeah, playing God with people's lives.
God, that's scary.
It is, and the attacks themselves escalate in brutality. They become more brazen, more theatrical almost.
Like he's putting on a show.
Exactly. In September of '69, you have Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard attacked at Lake Berryessa.
I've heard of that one.
This time, the Zodiac. He's wearing a hooded costume with his infamous cross-circle symbol.
Like a signature.
He binds and stabs the couple. Shepard tragically dies from her injuries, but Hartnell survives
Oh my God.
and provides another chilling account of the attacker.
So each attack just adds to this growing sense of dread, like no one is safe.
Right, and then on top of all of that, you have the mystery of the ciphers.
There was more than one.
4 in total. Each one, this complex puzzle that has haunted investigators and amateur sleuths for decades.
Decades, wow.
The unsolved ciphers, they're more than just codes. They're a window into the Zodiac's mind.
A window.
He has a tantalizing trail of breadcrumbs that could potentially lead to his identity.
Oh, I see.
3 of the 4 remain uncracked. Despite all the advances in code-breaking technology, countless hours poured over them by experts.
So they're really that good.
They are. The Z340. That one was finally deciphered in 2020.
So recently.
Yeah. But it didn't reveal a name, but it did give us something almost more unsettling.
What's that?
The message itself is filled with deliberate misspellings and grammatical errors, a tactic that many believe was intentional.
Intentional.
Yeah, a calculated attempt to mislead investigators, throwing them off his scent.
So it's not just about catching a killer, it's about trying to outsmart this criminal mastermind.
Exactly. He seems to be relishing the game, always staying one step ahead.
And the fact that these ciphers remain largely unsolved.
Oh, it must be incredibly frustrating for investigators. It's like having this locked door that holds the key to the whole mystery.
Absolutely. Every cipher represents a missed opportunity, a potential breakthrough that could finally bring closure to the case, to the families of the victims.
But they also speak to the cunning and intelligence of the Zodiac.
You gotta hand it to him. He carefully crafted these puzzles, knowing they'd be incredibly difficult to break.
It's almost like he wanted to leave this lasting legacy, a reminder of his, I don't know, chilling brilliance even after he was gone.
So we've got these terrifying attacks, the chilling messages, these unsolved codes. It's like piecing together a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing.
It is. So where do we go from here?
Right.
Well, over the years, investigators have focused on a few key suspects, individuals who, for various reasons, seem to fit the profile
Okay.
or had some connection to the case. Two names in particular stand out: Arthur Lee Allen and Lawrence Kane.
All right, well, let's dive into those stories next because you have me hooked. For those of you listening, this is just the beginning of our deep dive into the mystery of the Zodiac Killer. Stick with us.
So Arthur Lee Allen, this guy had a history, disturbing behavior, a conviction for child molestation,
I read about that.
and he'd made these veiled threats about wanting to kill people become a notorious criminal.
Oh, wow.
Like, he really fit the profile of a serial killer. And there are these specific details that linked him to the Zodiac case.
Yeah, in the sources, the first thing that really jumped out at me was the watch.
The watch.
Allen owned and wore a Zodiac brand watch, the same brand name as the killer, with that cross-circle symbol.
That's creepy.
It's almost too much of a coincidence, right?
Yeah, and then there's the fact that he lived in Vallejo,